The name of our investors panel will be the human side of investors. Yes, investors do have a human side. I know that it's not obvious, but we are going to expose it. We will start with a question to the audience. When you read in the press, but I need you to be sincere, that Howard Morgan made another exit of $200 million. What is the real sentiment that you feel? Jealous. What else? What do you feel when you read about a great exit? Pardon? You are happy for him. Out. We don't want here any liars. What else? Who feel like if Morgan has done it, sure I can do it much better? Who feel like this? Raise your hand. Okay? And on the other end, if you read that Mr. Weiss is losing $50 million, what do you feel?
Schadenfreude.
Okay, we'll start. So this will be the theme of the thing. My role is to abuse these people, but to a level, you see they like that? Yeah, but to a level that I won't upset them too much that they will leave the panel, because when we spoke about the panel, I told them anybody who cannot take the heat should use the President Truman rule, which says if you can't stand the heat, leave the kitchen. So let's see how long they will be able to survive here. Can you, Mr. Weiss, can you start by introducing yourself? Who are you, what type of investment you have done, and what was your most embarrassing investment?
Now, the good news is...
No, who are you?
Who am I? I'm a guy who actually grew up 30 kilometers south of here in the Bavarian countryside. So I'm actually a true Bavarian boy, lederhosen the works. Sicher. Sorry, got to continue in English here. And I actually left when I was 17, sort of traveled around the world, went to various places, and decided to come back to Munich, basically to Vardi 2.5 years ago. So here I am investing the Vardi family's money. Now, you asked me what's the most embarrassing investment I've done. I think I'll choose one from the personal side, if that's okay. I invested into it was a really cool thing, right? So this is in the solar space, which I'm a great expert of. And I saw this team, and they were absolutely world class. I invested 80,000 euros, and it went to zero in 7.5 weeks.
7.5 weeks. That's a good, nice record. Okay. Can you tell us who are you and what you told your wife the first time you lost all the investment money?
So my name is Frederick. In case you won't find out, I'm French. I've been in this business now as an investor for 18 years. First with a firm called Advent Ventures, and now with a new firm called Felix Capital that I launched 3 years ago with a focus on digital lifestyle. And so I'm an investor, but also an entrepreneur, having started this from scratch and trying to set up a new venture firm that I felt was the right setup, at least for me.
And you can put the microphone closer.
And so I've been lucky to have been able to launch it. Still really early days, so we will see. We are in a business where it takes at least 10 years to get a reading on whether we are doing something right or wrong. So I can just pretend it works for the next 10 years at least. And before that, I was an entrepreneur, having started and failed at a startup which was an online marketplace for the textile industry, which I launched in 1999. And before that, I spent a few years as an investment banker. So your question was about what I've done with our kids' money, or our kids' education money, or no, that was earlier. Because it's very safely invested in Bitcoin, so that's what I tell my wife. and that's true actually. But the most embarrassing investment, I mean, to some extent, my biggest failure has been the company I launched, where I had strong conviction on, and I managed to lose all of the money of our investors. So that was in 1999 to 2001. So great time to raise money, great time to close a company just 2 years later. But we tried to. We had the vision to launch to create a marketplace for the textile industry, and we vastly overestimated two things, I think. One was the maturity of the market, and second, which might be even more important, our ability to execute.
Two small mishaps.
But we were at least quite good at raising money, and so we had a go. But I'm proud that even to this day, 20 years later, I'm still good friends with our investors. At least we gave our best at it. But it was 8 million euro loss, which in 2001 was real money.
80 million euros.
Yeah.
You see, they've done much better than you.
Yeah, but they took a long time. I mean, that was over 2 years. I did it in 7 weeks.
Good. Can you introduce yourself and tell us what was your fastest loss in investing?
Sure. So actually, I'm Max from Munich. So I think I'm the youngest guy on the panel here. So I mean, very quickly about my background. So we started, my brother and myself, we started about 15 years ago during high school, built out our own software business, and luckily we exited that within 6 months before we had the chance to finish up the high school. So then we didn't get the money from our father, so because we were not 18 yet, so that's why we moved on doing our studies, and during the studies, so we had no money, so we decided to build out a second firm, and in 2010 we sold that. And after that, we decided to move on as investors and joining those successful guys here. So what we did till 2010, we started in the venture capital scene, and we actually developed a program in 2016 and 17 to the growth segment. We are running now a roughly 700 million growth program and trying to help the best companies coming out of the venture scene, or so-called the German Mittelstand businesses, and becoming big and becoming relevant companies on a global level. So, and regarding your question, actually we haven't had a really big loss in our portfolio. We did a small, I think.
You're young.
Huh?
You still have a lot of future in
front of you,
I can tell you.
Actually, I have time, I know, but I mean, we were very conservative. I mean, maybe that's a German attitude, but so what we did is we backed an e-commerce business because, you know, one of our friends is running that business, and we lost, I think, I don't know, a couple of €100,000 within 3 months.
Okay, it's a good start, and I'm sure you will do better. Howard Morgan is really one of the most astute investors on the planet. Howard, how many years you are investing?
Over 35.
Over 35 years. In what different industries you are investing? Tell us all the industries you are investing in. Or invested.
Anything that has a computer involved with it.
Give us different disciplines.
So in the
autonomous cars, mobility, I don't know, IoT, cryptocurrency,
we've done about
technology, genetic.
We've done over 1,000 investments in that period.
1,000 investment in how many diverse areas?
Well, so it started out with crypto, actually, back in the 80s with Jim Simons and in
no, the first one,
investing.
Franklin was
Franklin was the second one.
Tell them about Franklin.
Franklin Electronic Publishers. Franklin started out as the first company to make Apple clones. And then the Supreme Court said we couldn't do it, so because we admitted we copied the Apple software. When Compaq
did it... You didn't copy it, you stole it, but go ahead.
When Compaq did it, it was okay, but that's a different question. So we switched and became the producer of dictionaries, spelling checkers, and electronic books. We had the first electronic books and book technology. And Franklin went from 1981 until I sold it finally last year.
Ah, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So you were, let's say, you were investing in 50 different disciplines.
Probably.
Give and take, maybe 60. Who counts?
I don't count.
Now you should convince us that what you told your investors that you can do for them diligent work and can do for them good investments in 50 different fields. Are you a genius, or what make you think that you can be proficient in 50 different fields, which one field take a whole lifetime to become proficient at?
You have to become proficient at being a salesman. And then you can convince the investors of all the rest. But the fact is that because I was an academic for 15 years at places like Caltech and the University of Pennsylvania, I had access to very smart people, much smarter than me in many cases, who could help to talk to you about
this is a funny humiliation. He doesn't think it like this.
but it is
humility, not humiliation.
But it is true that you can't be an expert in everything, but you can try to figure out who else is who you're investing in, and then, as you said with these guys and me too, we make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
But
what is the biggest lie you told any of your investors? Go ahead. You know, we are among friends. Yeah. Everything stays here and on Facebook.
Past performance is no guarantee of future results, because no investor believes that. They all believe that whatever your past performance is, you're going to do it again. And they don't believe it when you tell them, you know, luck is involved and timing is involved. And, you know, I say I invest at 2 stages, too early and way too early. and when you invest way too early, you get a lot of things really wrong, or you get the timing really wrong. And, you know, some great companies that exist today, giant companies, we invested in those ideas 25 years ago, but they weren't ready. So we lost all our money in many.
So actually you are a failure.
Complete failure,
yeah.
Except for one little bit here and there that occasionally succeeds.
Mr. Weiss, why did you selected or elected to become an investor?
It's obvious. It's my good looks. It's my blue eyes.
Put the microphone next to your mouth.
Okay. Why was I selected to invest Dr. Burda's money? Welcome. I don't know. You should probably ask him rather than myself.
Mr. Burda, why did you entrust your hard-earned money in the hands of this guy that you didn't know? We are trying to figure it out. The subject of the session is the true background of investing.
Very good. Now, that's about as extensive as the job interview ever went. I never was told was I was selected.
You told me another thing in the lounge. Can I repeat it, or I better shut up?
Why don't you go ahead and repeat it?
I asked him, why did you elect to be an investor? He told me, it's okay with you?
It's okay. I'm not going to walk out.
Because Mr. Buddha is about to get heart attack.
No, it's okay.
So I asked him, why did you elect to be an investor? He said, being an investor is very good. You make 7 years investment decision. You know, you invest in something which should come into fruition after 7 years, and you leave the job after 3 years. So this is...
That's exactly it.
I told you the audience like honesty.
Absolutely. And you said it was a tightrope to humiliation. I think we're there.
Yeah? I'm overdoing it, or I'm still...
No, you're on safe ground.
Okay. Can you tell us your theory about failure? How you cope with failures?
It's the challenge in our business is to stop investing money. it's making an investment is easy. It's really easy, especially if you get a fund. At the beginning you even have an urge to do it. So there's a high temptation of deploying capital. Then once you invest, you build, especially the way we do it, you build a real bond with the team, and there is a social element to what we do as well. We are responsible for recruiting people, for selling the dream. We help a lot to bring talent on board, and the worst thing that can happen to us is to put good money after bad. And I think success is very much about being able to maximize the wins, but also not to allocate too much capital in a portfolio, because at the end we are in portfolio management business, in companies that will just not make it. So what's really very, very difficult, and even more so in, I think, larger partnerships where people are not as close to the businesses, and there is more of a fight for capital. It's at some point to say, well, this is not working, so we need to stop investing, or invest just enough to feel that we are we've done what we are supposed to do, but we are not hurting the fund. So,
Frederick, I think you just made a really good point about letting go of your failures, and this is why, since we're in the openness game here, only shared on Facebook, this is why corporations usually are lousy venture capitalists. This is why corporate VCs, if they play in the early stage, usually screw it up. Because large corporations, people get paid to actually make stuff work, right? And success in venture capital means press into your success and let the other ones go away and die off. And corporations are terrible at doing that.
But it's not just corporate. I mean, in my previous partnership, we had some partners who just felt it just impossible to consider to lose a company, and would argue to deploy more and more capital while it was obvious that the market had spoken, and we had to stop. So that's tough. But I have invested a little bit of money in companies that were going to fail, but just to find a home for them. And usually, the irony of the thing is that often you spend much more time on those situations than on the things going very well, which eventually don't really need us as much.
Thank you. Max, do you like science fiction?
I'm a big fan of Star Wars, yeah, but that's it.
Good. What is your view on business plans?
I mean, at the point once they are, finalized, you can start again, right? So, I think you have to be flexible, and if you see things are changing, you have to adopt, and I think that's very important. I think if you stick to a 5-year roadmap, which are where you put out in 2010, you think that's quite the reality, or that should be the reality for 2017. I think that's the wrong way.
Howard, you say that you made over 1,000 investments. Mm-hmm. This is really amazing. So how many companies you saw? How many pitches?
How many pitches? At first round, we get about 5,000 a year. And
5,000 a year.
And after 12 years, that's probably, it grew a little bit. So it's probably 40 or 50,000 pitches. And
let me just make calculation. 5,000 a year means 400 a month, means 100
per week.
Per week. How many hours you have a week? 50 hours of work, 2 pitches per hour.
Well,
and this is what you call due diligence when you raise money from your investors.
Fortunately, I have some partners in both first round and now in B Capital who can filter most of those. So it's not quite as bad as it sounds. But I think
I didn't say anything.
Your previous question was the most important one, because I think it was Muhammad Ali who said that no plan survives the first punch in the face. And so every business plan you get, you know, they never survive the first problems.
How many business plans you think you saw in your life, roughly?
Tens of thousands, over 10,000.
Tens of thousands. You know statistics, you know Bayesian theory, etc. You read 10,000 business plan. Did you add one business plan which say this idea is shitty?
You know,
you didn't.
Never.
So it didn't give you any information that you didn't know before. You get the business plan and it tell you this is a great idea. Why did you read 10,000 business plans?
Well, first of all, because that's the only way to see whether the entrepreneur has any knowledge of what a plan is.
You believe in it?
I don't believe in the plan, but I want to know that they know how to plan, because the actual plan is completely different than what happens is different. But do they know something about planning? Yeah, if we could turn a spreadsheet into reality, then I would really be rich.
You know how you make a good spreadsheet. Tell them the truth. How you make a good spreadsheet for a business plan. You start with what?
You start with a small amount of money in year one and 100 million in year 5.
You know that this is not is being done. You start with the results, and then you work it backwards to figure what should be the data to support this result.
Yep.
Right? This is known as reverse creative financial engineering. Right?
But that is exactly what I'm saying. You start with $100 million revenue in year 5 and work backwards, and then figure out how do you get there in a market that can't possibly be that big.
That's true. And you know, if you sum up all the markets of all the business plan in the world, you get a GDP of $7 trillion per capita, you know, to support all the business plan. You know what is the common thing to business plan and sausage?
And sausage? What?
No, only people who don't know how they are being made are willing to eat them.
Yes.
And you still read 10,000 business plan.
Yeah, but I read very quickly. And you have to read very quickly.
I have to go to other thing. You start as a professor in Wharton, right?
Yep.
Which is a very distinguished position. I'm sure your mother was very proud of you when you were yes. Professor, right?
Yes.
What did she say when you were deteriorated to a status of investor?
Well, my father, more than my mother, because she had passed away then, my father said, "You're crazy, you're giving up tenure, you're going to give up the kids' college money, just as you said, and why are you doing this?" And I said, because I want to have...
You couldn't tell him because I'm greedy, you know, because...
No, that's not the right... That's because I want to have fun. I spent the last 15 years around 21-year-olds. I want to now meet some 25-year-olds. So
your father was your Jewish mother, actually?
Yes. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Now, my Jewish mother got me through college and graduate school, but then she passed away, and then my father took over.
At least she saw when you got the doctorate, or no?
Yes, yes.
So at least you gave her some naches.
At least I could leave the house because I had got a PhD. That's when a Jewish child can leave home.
Yeah, this is, no, it's not when the Jewish... There is a continuous argument between Judaism, Christianity, and Islam when life begins. According Christianity, it's at the time of the conceiving the baby. Yeah. According Islam, I'm not sure, I think it's after 4 months. In Judaism, for the last 2,000 years, a fetus was a fetus was a fetus until it became a doctor.
Yes.
Good. Mr. Weiss, what are the areas that you are investing in? What are the areas that you like to invest in?
We really like investing in what is very close to the DNA of the Vardi Group, which is into mass market B2C markets. So we are very passionate about several of these verticals where we say, look, there is something I think we've understood over the last 100 years of the firm about fashion. There is stuff we understand about living. There is a certain amount of, I guess, DNA the company has in the whole gardening and cooking space. So it's all about passions that people follow. And as soon as you have a large group of people that are into a passion, you will have businesses that arise out of that. And what we try to do is we try to find firms that can serve that passionate consumer. So what we like investing in is firms that are really well able to service that passion of the consumer. In the past, that has been in e-commerce businesses. In the past, that has been in marketplaces. And in the past, that has been in social networks.
Okay.
That is something that we're really into.
Alex, are you trying to signal to me the time is getting... we still have some time. Okay, look, I must give you a chance to redeem your harmed pride. So I would like to ask each one of you, starting with you, to let you do some bragging. You can brag on something you have done in the investment area at your choice. Tell us something wonderful which happened to you. And we don't mind if you lie, because we know that you do it all. Go ahead.
Okay, so my lucky shot has been to meet 9 years ago a young Portuguese entrepreneur called José Neves, who is the founder of Farfetch. And at the time, I mean, what we do at Felix has been very inspired by my experience with Farfetch. To give context, we focus on digital lifestyle. So we like brands in various lifestyle segments. And fashion, luxury has been one of the areas of interest for me for a while. And so 9-10 years ago, I was looking for the next evolution after Net-a-Porter, ASOS, Yux, that first generation of players, and I'd always been interested in marketplaces. And I met a bunch of companies, and I met Jose, who had started a marketplace in the fashion and luxury industry, which at the time was a tiny little thing with 10, 15 people, working very badly, but he had proven the opportunity, connecting boutiques on one side. He had 40 of those with customers in different parts of the world, including the US. And he had tremendous passion. He had done that in somewhat crazy way with his own money. For a global commerce opportunity. So the customer experience really sucked, but people absolutely wanted those products. And fashion luxury for a big part is an irrational purchase. Who needs another bag or dress or shirt or whatever? But there is something you need to have, and that's what Farfetch is about. It's really for people who love fashion, and that's. At the time, I struggled to get it through my investment committee, because the biggest challenge I had was to convince my partners it would be potentially big enough. So we vastly underestimated in fact, two things. We vastly underestimated at the time the market opportunity and the team ability to execute. They both did that very well. So today, looking at the stage where Farfetch is, it gives me great pleasure, because it's very much why we, I think collectively, but also I'm in this business, is to be part of those journeys. Is not for, we often say it, and we really mean it, the money-making side of our business is not for us the main goal. It's a byproduct of being part of great adventures, and having been part of Farfetch shows that, yes, you can make money in venture capital, and you can also have an impact on the world and have fun. So that's my bragging moment.
Thank you. Max, what do you want to boast about, to brag about?
I think we should talk in Europe how we can reconquer, as the investors, how we can support the best entrepreneurs in the country. Because what we are observing is that most of the entrepreneurs, they're selling their businesses for 100 or 200 million or whatever to, shopping tourists from the US. So, and we would like to help to address that problem. in Europe to back the best entrepreneurs and helping them really through, many stages.
Selling company for 200 million, you call it a problem.
Or maybe 50 or whatever. But I mean, on a global level, so we have about 22 people from Germany are, among the 500 biggest companies in the world. And then you have about, 40% of the small, mid-sized companies are world-class leading who are coming from Germany. And I think what we would like to address is that, we like the Berlin debate. Yeah, we have a lot of great venture capitalists in Europe. But I think we should also talk about, what's going on in the German Mittelstand and the small and medium-sized businesses who are not domiciled in Berlin or in Munich. Yeah, I think we have hundreds of thousands of amazing companies in Europe in the middle of nowhere.
Good. 2 questions for you again. What was your most shining investment? The one which really you are most proud or you made the most of the return or whatever?
Well, they're different things. Our biggest return in any of the funds was Uber in first round, where it started in our office in San Francisco. My partner Rob Hayes and Josh Koppelman, we found the entrepreneur, Garrett Camp, and started that. So that's certainly been, when you invest at 4 million pre-money and it's trading higher now, you make money.
How much, let make them, all of them painful. How much money your fund has done on Uber?
We don't say, but it's very large.
Very large. You don't say, but very large. Like what?
No. I really can't. But it is very large. It's as large as you would think if you go from a company that's worth 4 million to one that's worth 60 billion.
So you know what? Don't tell us how much money you had, but what percentage of the company you had?
We had enough to be interesting for us. But I do think what is important, and I think this is, you asked us to brag also, which is,
yes.
I have one skill in life, which is picking great partners, which is Jim Simons at Renaissance, Bill Gross with Idealab. We created a lot of things.
Bad.
Josh Koppelman at First Round, and now Raj Ganguly and Eduardo Saverin at B Capital. And picking great partners and being careful about timing, because I learned about timing in 1997. We had this great idea that people could communicate instantaneously with one another. We called it People Link. Now, about 3 months earlier than that, somebody's son had the same idea.
Where is Talma? Talma, raise your hand. Her son.
It was her son too, yes. And ICQ was founded, and you guys beat us on that one. So timing is very important, even if it's just a few months.
I have to tell you, we beat you on that, but then 4 Chinese kids copied ICQ or paid tribute to ICQ by creating a company which was called OICQ. And this company then, the name was changed to QQ and then to Tencent, and now it's $400 billion company that we see from far above.
Right. So you only sold 400 million. They sold 400 billion. Well,
small difference.
It's timing.
Now, about this Uber thing, what was attributed to your wisdom or to Josh Koppelman wisdom, and what do you attribute to luck?
I think we saw that the marketplace for black car services in San Francisco was 100 million. If you looked around the country, it might have been $1 billion. And we were a little worried about that. And what I attribute is to the vision of Garrett and then bringing in Travis and other people to see that San Francisco, which a couple of years ago did 100 million in taxis, the entire business, did over 500 million last year. So you could expand the business. And how much do I attribute that to luck? I don't. I think it was really...
You don't?
No, that was Josh and Rob helping the company because...
You are very conceited.
Yes.
Who thinks that he made all this money because of luck? Who think he made all this money because of his wisdom? Who don't think?
You can't be too introspective on this. I mean, you have to, opportunity is seized. So luck is when somebody takes advantage of opportunity. And that's what we did with Uber and with many other things, fortunately, and with many things that went to zero or that looked great. Fab.com, a wonderful company, a great entrepreneur. A lot of things during the internet period, eToys,
This was, let me ask you, this was because of stupidity or because of bad luck?
Stupidity.
Stupidity. At least you are consistent.
Yes.
You understood what I'm trying to
Yes.
do, for
Yes.
sure.
Yes.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the panel, and I wish all of you great investments, and I hope to see you next year also. Thank you very much.